What happens when a comedian known for razor-sharp political satire sits down with America's beloved daytime talk show hostant? Their friendly chat takes a turn absolutely no one saw coming. You're about to find out, because Randy Rainbow just had one of the most explosive interview meltdowns in daytime TV history. But before we dive into this absolute disaster, make sure you subscribe and drop a comment, because this story, it's going to blow your mind. So picture it, Randy Rainbow across from Kelly Clarkson on her bright, bubbly set. The vibe is upbeat at first, Kelly with her signature warm smile, and Randy leaning into his theatrical charm like he always does. Kelly starts with what seems like harmless small talk. Randy, your political parodies have become such a phenomenon, but tell me, don't you ever worry about going too far with some of your content? Randy shifts slightly, one eyebrow lifting. Too far. Kelly, reality has already gone too far. I'm just holding up a mirror to the absurdity. Kelly nods, but presses a bit harder. Some people say your videos cross lines, especially with how harshly you target certain politicians. The smile on Randy's face falters. Cross lines. Kelly, comedy exists to push boundaries. That's the whole point. Are we seriously having this conversation? Kelly leans forward, her tone tightening. I'm just saying, with a platform like yours, maybe there's a responsibility. Some of your content can be divisive. Divisive? Randy's voice sharpens. Calling out corruption isn't divisive. It's necessary. Are you really about to lecture me about responsibility? From a show built on celebrity gossip and feel-good promos, a murmur ripples through the audience. Kelly's smile tightens. I think you're misunderstanding what I'm trying to say. Randy, no, I understand perfectly. He shoots back. You invited me here to promote my work, and now you're trying to shame me for doing the very thing that made me famous. Classic mainstream media behavior. Kelly's tone turns defensive. I'm not shaming anyone. I'm asking questions my audience wants to know. Your audience, Randy says, or your network executives. Because there's a difference, Kelly, and we both know it. The tension is now unmistakable. Kelly tries to reset. Look, Randy, I respect your work. I do. But don't you think there's value in finding common ground, instead of always choosing the most provocative angle? Randy lets out a dry, bitter laugh. Common ground. Kelly, when one side is dismantling democracy and the other is asking us to find common ground, that's not balance. That's complicity. That's a pretty extreme way to put it, don't you think? Kelly replies, extreme. Randy's eyes widen. What's extreme is pretending every issue has two equally valid sides. What's extreme is asking creators like me to tone it down while the world burns. Kelly's composure begins to crack. Randy, I think you're being unfair. I'm trying to have a reasonable conversation. Reasonable, he snaps. You want reasonable? Let's talk about how daytime TV has become a sanitized, advertiser-approved wasteland where nobody is allowed to say anything real, because it might upset the sponsors. The audience is dead silent. Now, Kelly tries to shift gears. Let's move on and talk about your upcoming projects. Oh, now we want to move on. Randy fires back. Convenient, you drag me into a lecture about responsibility, and when I push back, suddenly it's time to change the subject. Kelly's face flushes. I'm not interrogating you, Randy. I'm asking questions that make for an interesting conversation. Interesting for who? Randy shoots back. Your producers. Who told you to grill me? Or your audience, who might God forbid win something real, instead of the usual fluff? Kelly inhales deeply, trying to stay composed. Randy, I think you're assuming things about my motivations that aren't true. Am I? He asks, because from where I'm sitting, this feels like an ambush disguised as a friendly chat. You knew exactly what my content was when you booked me. So why is everyone acting shocked that I have strong opinions? The conversation is now completely off the rails. Host and guest are locked in a heated back and forth with no soft landing in sight. Kelly straightens her posture, her media training, screaming for control. Randy, I think there's been a misunderstanding. My questions come from genuine curiosity. Genuine curiosity. Randy repeats mockingly. Let me tell you what genuine curiosity looks like. Asking about my process, my inspirations, my upbringing. Not immediately jumping into whether I'm being too mean to politicians who are actively harming people. Surely you understand, Kelly says carefully, that with millions of followers, people will question the impact of your message. Impact. Randy leans forward. How about the impact of normalizing authoritarianism by treating it like just another political opinion? How about the impact of watering down real issues so they're safe for morning TV? Kelly's smile is cracking entirely now. I don't think that's fair. Randy, we cover serious issues on this show all the time. Do you? He counters. Or do you cover them in the most superficial way possible, so you can claim you're socially conscious while never challenging anyone to think critically? The audience shifts uncomfortably, some whispering, some recording, all stunned. Randy, Kelly says, struggling to keep her tone steady, I really think you're mischaracterizing what we do here. Asterisk, am I? Kelly. Randy fires back. When was the last time you had a conversation on this show that actually made someone uncomfortable? When was the last time you asked a question your guest couldn't answer with a prepackaged talking point? Kelly's voice sharpens. I ask tough questions when they're appropriate. Appropriate according to who? Randy presses. Your legal team, your network executives, your advertisers. Because I guarantee you none of them care about what's appropriate for the moment we're living in. Randy, you're being incredibly unfair. Kelly snaps. You don't know anything about how I run my show or what conversations I have behind the scenes. Behind the scenes, Randy repeats, that's exactly the problem. All the real conversations happen back there, while the audience gets fed this sanitized positivity that has nothing to do with reality. Kelly takes a breath, visibly trying to regain control. Randy, I know you're passionate about your work, and I respect that, but attacking me personally isn't productive. Attacking you personally. Randy shakes his head. I'm not attacking you as a person. I'm criticizing a system you're a very successful part of. There's a difference. But you're sitting on my show telling me everything I do is meaningless corporate propaganda. Kelly says, hurt creeping into her tone. I'm telling you, daytime TV has become a place where real conversations go to die. Randy replies, if that describes your show, then maybe it's worth examining. The tension is thick enough to slice through. Kelly's producer can be seen frantically signaling behind the cameras. Randy, I invited you because I think you're funny and talented. Kelly says, not because I wanted a lecture on the state of media, and I came because I thought maybe, just maybe, someone in mainstream media wanted a real conversation about why comedy matters in dark times. He says, apparently, I was wrong. Kelly's voice raises defensively. You're making a lot of assumptions about my intentions and my show. Then prove me wrong. Randy challenges, ask me something real. Ask me something that matters. Ask me why humor is one of the last defenses we have against rising fascism instead of making me justify my existence as an artist. Fascism. Kelly almost chokes. Don't you think that's a pretty extreme word? Randy's eyes widen. And there it is. That's the problem. You think the word fascism is extreme, but not the behaviors or policies that actually define it. That's the willful blindness I'm talking about. Randy, I'm not blind to anything. Kelly insists. I just think we need to be careful with inflammatory language. Randy repeats. What's inflammatory is pretending calling a spade is worse than the spade itself. What's inflammatory is tone policing people who are trying to sound the alarm while the house burns down. The audience is frozen, hanging on to every word of this philosophical showdown unfolding live. Randy, you're being unfair to me and my audience. Kelly says, we care about these issues too. Do you? Randy asks, because caring and actually addressing them are two very different things. Caring is easy, it's a feeling. Action requires risk. And risk is bad for ratings. Kelly's composure is now visibly strained. So you're saying everyone in mainstream media is a coward? She asks. I'm saying mainstream media works within constraints that make real courage almost impossible. Randy replies, and yes, that includes this show. And yes, that includes this conversation. Kelly's jaw tightens as she processes his words. So you're saying this conversation is fake or meaningless simply because it's happening here? What I'm saying, Randy clarifies, is that we're having this conversation inside a framework built to keep it from going anywhere real. We're performing authenticity, not practicing it. Performing authenticity, Kelly repeats. Randy, I'm being completely genuine with you right now. Are you? He asks quietly, because genuine Kelly probably has real, unfiltered opinions about the state of the world. But talk show host Kelly has to stay neutral, palatable, and brand safe. He leans forward. So tell me, Kelly, which one am I talking to right now? The question hangs in the air like a live wire. Kelly's jaw tightens, and the entire room waits for what she say next. You know what, Randy? You're right, Kelly says suddenly. Let me be genuine with you. I think you're being incredibly arrogant right now. You walk onto my show and immediately attack everything about it, about me, without knowing anything about what I actually believe. Randy smiles, finally satisfied. There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. So tell me, Kelly, what do you actually believe? Not what your network wants. Not what your audience expects. You, what do you think about the world we're living in? Kelly hesitates, the gears visibly turning. I think the world is complicated. Randy, I think reducing everything to good guys and bad guys makes good comedy, but it doesn't help solve real problems. Complicated. Randy repeats. Kelly, some things aren't complicated. When someone tries to overthrow an election, that's not complicated. When someone puts kids in cages, that's not complicated. When someone lies every time they speak, that's not complicated. But Randy, Kelly pushes back. Don't. You think that kind of black and white thinking is exactly what's dividing the country? Randy looks stunned. Are you serious? You think the problem is that people like me are too judgmental toward objectively horrific behavior? You think the solution is to be more understanding of cruelty and corruption? I think the solution is finding ways to bring people together. Kelly insists. Not driving them further apart, bring people together. Randy scoffs. Kelly, you can't bring people together with fascists. You can't find middle ground with people who want to erase the rights of your neighbors. This isn't a debate about tax policy. It's about basic human dignity. Kelly's voice rises. And that rhetoric is exactly what makes it impossible to have productive conversations with anyone who doesn't already agree with you. Productive conversations. Randy challenges. Explain to me what a productive conversation with someone who thinks entire groups don't deserve rights would even look like. I'd love to hear this. It would look like trying to understand where they're coming from, Kelly says. Instead of immediately writing them off as evil, Randy stares, disbelief etched across his face. Oh, I understand where they're coming from. Kelly, they're coming from fear, hatred, and ignorance. Understanding that doesn't mean I have to respect it, excuse it, or accommodate it. But don't you think your attitude just perpetuates the division? Kelly presses. No, Randy says firmly. What perpetuates division is pretending hatred and love are just two equally valid points of view. What perpetuates division is false equivalency, this both sidesism you're defending right now. The studio is silent except for a few nervous coughs. I'm not advocating for moral relativism, Kelly snaps. I'm advocating for decency. For finding common ground. Human decency, Randy echoes. Human decency means standing up to bullies, not trying to understand them. It means protecting the vulnerable, not compromising with their oppressors. Kelly's professional veneer has completely cracked. Randy, you're putting words in my mouth. I never said any of that, didn't you? Randy counters, because it sounds like you're more concerned about being polite to extremists than protecting the people they want to hurt. That's not what I said. Kelly fires back. Then what are you saying, Kelly? Randy demands. Because, from where I'm sitting, it sounds like you want me to tone down my criticism because it might offend someone or make your show look too political. I'm saying your approach might not be as effective as you think it is. Kelly says tightly. Randy's eyes flash. Effective. My work has reached millions and helped them process one of the ugliest political eras in modern history. What has your approach accomplished, besides keeping everyone comfortable while everything falls apart? Kelly bristles. My approach has brought joy and positivity during difficult times. Joy and positivity, Randy repeats. There's a difference between bringing joy and enabling denial. Positivity and toxic optimism. Kelly suddenly stands, her voice rising. Randy, I think you need to check yourself. You're being incredibly disrespectful to me, to my show, and to my audience. Randy stands too, matching her energy. The studio lights feel hotter now, the air heavier. Disrespectful, he repeats. Kelly, you've spent this entire conversation trying to get me to apologize for having convictions about right and wrong. I didn't ask you to apologize. Kelly fires back. I asked you to consider that maybe your way isn't the only way to make change. Randy throws up his hands in disbelief. Positive change requires acknowledging when things are wrong, not sugarcoating them to make everyone feel better. And mocking people is going to help. Kelly counters, you think humiliating people will make them suddenly understand your perspective. I think holding people accountable matters more than protecting their feelings. Randy says, I think truth matters more than comfort. Kelly shakes her head. Truth, Randy, it's your truth, your perspective, your interpretation, and you present it like it's the only way to see the world. When it comes to basic human rights and democracy. Yes, Randy says, there is only one acceptable way to see things. These aren't opinions. Everything is an opinion, Kelly insists. That's what democracy is. Randy stares at her, incredulous. No, Kelly, everything is not an opinion. The earth is round. Gravity exists, and trying to overturn an election is wrong. These are facts. How you respond to them, that's a choice. I choose urgency. I choose honesty. I choose not to pretend everything's fine. Nobody's pretending things are fine, Kelly shouts. But screaming at people isn't solving anything. Screaming, Randy repeats. I'm using satire to expose absurdity. If that feels like screaming to you, maybe you should ask yourself why. Because it's aggressive and divisive. Kelly exclaims, it pushes people away instead of bringing them in. Good, Randy says bluntly. Some people should be pushed away. Not every viewpoint deserves a seat at the table. Kelly throws up her hands. See, that right there. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Asterisk, that kind of absolutist thinking is dangerous, Kelly says. Dangerous. Randy shoots back. You know what's dangerous? Giving platforms to people who spread misinformation and hate, then tone policing the people who call them out. Kelly points at him. And you know what's also dangerous? Creating content that makes people angrier and more divided instead of helping them find solutions. Solutions, Randy scoffs. The solution is for good people to stop being polite to bad people. The solution is for hosts with platforms like yours to stop pretending neutrality is a virtue. When one side is actively trying to destroy democracy. Randy, you're twisting everything I'm saying. No, he fires back, I'm repeating exactly what you're saying. You're implying my comedy is problematic because it takes sides. You're implying calling out authoritarianism is divisive. You're implying exposing corruption is inflammatory. Kelly's face is flushed with frustration. I never said any of that. You absolutely did, Randy insists. You've spent this entire interview concern trolling my tone, while ignoring the substance of what I do. Concern trolling, Kelly repeats. Randy, I was trying to have a thoughtful discussion about the role of political comedy. No, Randy snaps. You were trying to get me to admit I'm part of the problem, so you can feel better about your complicity. Kelly's voice cracks. My complicity? Randy, you don't know anything about my life or what I stand for. I know what you show when the cameras are rolling, Randy says, and what you show is safe, sanitized content that never challenges anyone to think. That's not true, and it's incredibly unfair. Randy begins gathering his things. You know what's unfair, Kelly? Living in a country where comedians have to tell the truth because journalists won't and talk show hosts can't. Randy, where are you going? Kelly asks, panic creeping in. I'm leaving, he says. This conversation proved we live in different realities. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend your reality is equally valid. Randy, please don't leave, she pleads. We can still have this conversation constructively. Randy turns back, eyes sharp. Constructively. Kelly, construction requires a foundation. We don't even agree on basic facts. How are we supposed to build anything? By listening, Kelly says. By trying to understand different perspectives. I have listened, Randy says, and what I've heard is that you think I'm too angry, too divisive, too unwilling to compromise with people who want to harm others. Message received. Randy, that's not what I think. Then what do you think, Kelly? What do you actually genuinely think about the state of the world right now? Not the network-safe answer, the real one. Kelly hesitates. The silence stretches. Cameras capture her struggle in painful detail. Finally, she speaks. I think we need to find ways to heal the divisions in our country. Randy shakes his head. That's not an answer, Kelly. That's a talking point. And the fact you can't give me anything real proves everything I've said today. With that, Randy turns toward the exit. Kelly stands frozen on her own stage, staring after him as the audience watches in stunned disbelief. The cameras keep rolling, capturing every second of the most dramatic walk-off daytime television has ever seen. And that's the story. The blow-up no one expected. The confrontation that left a studio speechless. What do you think went wrong? Was Randy right to call out Kelly, or did he take it too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments and hit subscribe for more stories like this.